You know the feeling, right? You're staring at some error screen, maybe tangled in a bunch of wires, and you absolutely dread having to call tech support. But what if I told you the frustration isn't really about the tech at all? Today, we're going to demystify that whole experience, and you might be surprised to find out what the real problem is. It always starts with that sinking feeling. Your internet's down, an app just won't open, or your device is just, well, not working. You feel totally powerless, and the idea of calling for help just brings on this wave of anxiety. A lot of the time, it feels like you and the support agent are speaking two completely different languages. Well, it turns out bridging that language gap is the entire goal. This quote, which is reportedly from a tech support training manual, it kind of reveals their secret mission: to explain things clearly, step by step, in plain English. So clarity isn't just some nice-to-have thing. It's the whole point of the conversation. Okay, so let's put this whole idea to the test. We're going to walk through a typical tech support call, but we're going to look at it from a new perspective. You'll start to see that the real problem isn't usually the technology itself, but that communication gap between you, the user, and the expert on the other end of the line. Look, for both you and the agent, success just means getting on the same page. As soon as you both understand the same basic terms, what seemed like a frustrating, tangled mess starts to look more like a solvable puzzle. It really is all about finding that common language. So the call begins. The first thing that agent has to do is get the basics of your situation. They're not being nosy, I promise. They're just establishing a starting point. They need to know what you're using and who you are in their system before they can even think about helping you. The first question is almost always, what kind of device are you using? Now, it might seem super obvious, but a device is simply any electronic machine: your phone, your laptop, your tablet. Getting this right is step 0. It's the foundation for everything that's going to follow. Next up, they have to know who you are. Your user ID or your username, that's your unique name tag in their system. It's how they pull up your account, your history, all that stuff. Just think of it as the digital way of saying, "Hi, it's me." And of course, there's the password. It's the secret key that proves your user ID actually belongs to you. So together, your ID and your password, they act like gatekeepers, making sure the agent is helping the right person and keeping your account totally secure. All right, with those basics out of the way, the real detective work can begin. The agent now needs to figure out what's actually wrong, which means they're going to start asking more specific questions to narrow down all the possibilities. This whole process, this is what's called troubleshooting. And it's not just one single action. It's a method of systematically finding the source of a problem and then fixing it. So when an agent says, "Let's troubleshoot this," they're really just inviting you to be their partner in solving the mystery. You know, a ton of issues come down to these 3 related ideas. The network is the big picture, like your whole home Wi-Fi setup. The connection is that specific link your phone has to that network. And the signal is just how strong that connection is. So a weak signal means a poor connection, which causes problems on your network. See how they all fit together? Now, if you're lucky, your problem will give you an error code. For a support agent, that code is a huge clue. Instead of you just saying, "It's not working," a specific code like error 404 tells them exactly what's wrong. It's kind of like a patient giving a doctor their precise temperature. It just cuts right through the confusion and points directly to the problem. So once the problem is diagnosed, it's time for the fix. The agent's going to start giving you instructions. And this is where understanding the precise meaning of their words is absolutely critical if you want to avoid making the problem even worse. And this right here is probably one of the most common and honestly dangerous points of confusion. Restart just means turning a device off and then on again. It's a safe first step that fixes a surprising number of glitches. Reset, on the other hand, is a much, much bigger deal. That means wiping it clean back to its original factory settings. Mixing these two up can mean losing all your data, so you really have to know the difference. A lot of times, the fix involves getting something new from the internet. When an agent asks you to download a file, you're really just pulling a copy of it from a server somewhere onto your own device. You can think of it like bringing groceries home from the store. An update is a little bit different. With an update, you already have the software, but you're getting the latest and greatest version of it. This usually includes bug fixes, security patches, maybe some new features. You're not getting a new app, you're just improving one you already own. So once you've downloaded that file or that update, you need to install it. This is the actual process of setting up the software on your device so it can run. To stick with our analogy, downloading gets the groceries to your kitchen, installing is unpacking them so you can actually use them. And thankfully, you're not alone in this. Most installations are guided by something called an install wizard. I know, it sounds super technical, but it's really just a series of simple on-screen prompts. Click Next, Agree, Finish, that are designed to walk you through everything step by step. Oh, here's a classic one. Clear your cache. What does that even mean? Well, your apps and your browser, they save temporary files in this little storage space called the cache, just to help them run faster. But sometimes that stored data gets messy or corrupted, so clearing the cache is basically like tidying up a room. It gets rid of all the junk and usually makes things run smoothly again. So, as we bring this all together, what's the real takeaway here? We've walked through an entire support call, from that initial panic all the way to the final fix. And at every single stage, the key wasn't some complex technical wizardry. It was about speaking the same language. When you understand the difference between a restart and a reset, or what it means to clear the cache, you're no longer this passive, frustrated user. You become an active participant in solving the problem. This shared vocabulary is what bridges that gap and really empowers everyone involved. And that kind of makes you think, doesn't it? Tech support is just one example. I mean, from medicine to finance to law, how many other stressful parts of our lives could be made so much simpler just by finding a way to speak in plain English? It's a powerful idea and definitely a question worth asking.